Okay, so let's think about the kind of automations that would drive the stickiness that we're looking for. So basically, anything that attaches the tenant to the building and to the unit such that they can't imagine living in any other setting. And the thought of living without these automations once they've experienced them sounds terrible. As the platform, if you can get this right, every building owner or manager would want to integrate your platform into their building management operations because most would be tenants would be asking about them, and every building that has them would be fully occupied with a long waiting list, while every building that doesn't has to anticipate lease non renewals and throw in revenue leaking perks and discounts to get tenants to stay. Now, let's start with option one. In this context, automations can include using the tenant's behaviors to recommend things such as optimal study plans in terms of time management and focus, meal plans, time management assistance, mental health optimization plans, exercise plans, and so on. You might be tempted to think that these can be attainable without actually being a tenant, just an app. You wouldn't be entirely wrong, but you wouldn't be entirely right either. Every device in the room is a smart device, so it captures all the tenants' device usage in order to map their behaviors for hyper-personalization purposes. Everything is fully based on behavioral data in terms of how the tenant lives, from sleep patterns in terms of when the tenant wakes up and when they go to sleep, based on the usage of lights, the kettle, when and how much water is dispensed from the geyser, internet searches in terms of interests, wellness, and study assistance, the kinds and quantities of foods stored in the smart fridge, when they are likely consumed, when the fridge is typically stocked, food wastage patterns, and so on. Certain behaviors indicate certain things. If the tenant purchases small amounts of food at varying intervals, this bit of data, along with other pieces of data, may indicate that the tenant is either frugal or price sensitive as a result of being cash strapped, or potentially has an eating disorder. So, offering up meal plans or a cheaper product hunt in terms of groceries without prompt or bringing up the stinging topic actually driving the behavior can be the difference between a good day and a bad day. Other automations may also include food wastage mitigation after the smart fridge has collected enough data. Nothing better than your own behaviors nudging you in the right direction and self correcting, all for a small purchase of automation credits. We'll manually map a customer journey within this context so as to identify the various revenue assurance leakage risk points and use game theory to mitigate against the leakage and optimize revenue collection. So we're not using the comfort and convenience automation as an origination tool. There are many approaches one could use for new customer, as in tenant, acquisition in this context. For now, that's not our focus. We're mainly using automation to drive stickiness and loyalty once the customer has been acquired for the first time. So we assume at this stage that the student tenant's application has been accepted and they've been offered accommodation in the building. Now, before we proceed, let's remind ourselves that revenue assurance is mapped along the order to cash process, as in the order to cash activity. So we'll just do a quick recap of the order to cash process. Okay, so let's now explore our context a bit more. We'll start by exploring some profiles of our primary customers, student tenants. Meet Millie. Millie is 19, doing her second year in mechanical engineering, specializing in mechatronics. Millie has been staying on campus for her first year of study and just finds dorm rooms too chaotic for her liking. Millie likes peace and quiet because too much activity and chaos heightens her anxiety. She's now looking for off campus accommodation for her second year of study. She feels that off campus accommodation is much more suited to her personality. Everybody minds their own business, and no one is going to notice if she doesn't leave her room for extended periods of time or make fun of her for spending hours on end memorizing and reciting hip hop music lyrics from her favorite hip hop acts. Deep down, she really just wants to pursue a hip hop career. But between her strict parents and her introverted personality and fear of big crowds, it just made sense to settle for being a NASA engineer. That's her consolation prize for not getting to be the first lady of the Wu Tang revival. She also has a better opportunity of realizing her dreams because a big robotics company is sponsoring her studies. She applied for a bursary from them while she was still in high school, and unlike the 43 demo tapes she sent to various recording companies, her application was successful on the back of good grades. Millie is considering taking up a lease in one of the buildings managed by a property manager running your platform. She has cleared it with her sponsorship administrator, and they are okay with her taking up a room in this building because the building is close to campus and the property manager is a reputable company. They have given her an accommodation budget for the year, and she's not meant to exceed this budget. The only issue is that Millie wants a bigger corner room so that she can have enough space to work on her robots, do yoga, and practice her hip hop performances. But the rental for a bigger room in this building slightly exceeds the budget she's been given by her bursary administrator, leading her to looking for other options before she commits to staying in this building. Meet Assad, an 18-year-old law freshman. Assad accepted his study offer late and therefore was unable to secure accommodation on campus. He's now looking to secure accommodation in this building as the only place his parents found acceptable, due to good reviews from friends whose children studied at the same institution and had friends who had stayed in this building. Assad has aspirations to be a high powered corporate attorney, wearing the nicest suits, speaking intimidating lawyer lingo, and raking in the big bucks. A real life Davis McLean. He finally has the freedom to live how he wants, and what he lacks in big, fancy skyscraper apartment living, he'll make up for in getting the biggest room with the best view he can find in a student building. His parents are doing okay financially, and while they weren't willing to splurge out on a fancy apartment, they are willing to make up for it with a slightly bigger accommodation budget to allow Assad to at least get a student room with a bit more space.